this series was announced, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But to be fair, like, there haven't been very many good live-action anime adaptations, chat. Certainly on Netflix. I mean, I think you can make an argument that Netflix has made some of the worst live-action anime adaptations. People would say, Death Note, Cowboy Bebop.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
You're damn right it is, because, Jet, you are black and you are male.
Which kind of broke my heart because, I love the original show. And, of course, there's been others.
Hello, and thank you for checking out the video. I just want to let you know that I not only create content on my YouTube channel, Class in the Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I review movies, cartoons, and TV shows live, while also playing single-player games and multiplayer games. I also have a Patreon, where subscribers have access to hundreds of video and audio commentaries for films and cartoons, as well as podcasts and videocasts. In the meantime, thank you again for watching, and enjoy the video.
Let's go ahead and move on to the next part of my show. And that is my review, at least my overall impression so far of Netflix's One Piece. And for people that are unaware of the show, the general synopsis, sometime after the death of the legendary Pirate King, who willingly creates the chaotic age of pirates, Monkey D. Luffy and his pirate crew explore a fantastical world of endless oceans, exotic islands, in search of the world's ultimate treasure, the One Piece, to become the next pirate king. Now, listen, we've talked about, One Piece in some of my past streams and my other content, my other platforms for quite some time. Listen, I'm going to be very, very honest with everyone here. I know absolutely nothing about One Piece. Like, for the longest time, I thought the main character's name was Mr. One Piece. That's what I thought the main character was. Like, oh yeah, the stretchy guy. That's Mr. One Piece. That's who it is, right? And people in the chat were like, no, Chris, no, dum-dum. I was like, what? His name is Monkey D. Luffy. I was like, oh yeah, I heard that name before. And so again, I'm going into this like knowing very little. I'm aware that it is a very popular shonen anime. I know that the manga's still been going on. It's been very popular. The anime's still going. The anime's like 1,000 episodes at this point and still going. They haven't wrapped up at all. But at the same time, it's just like, I get not that I like never wanted to watch it. It's just I think it got to a point where when you hear from someone like, oh yeah, you should watch this series, you like anime, it's like, yeah, I like anime, because I do like anime. I loved everything like Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, and you should watch Dragon Ball Z, and so many other, shows like, Dotaro or Big O. Like, well, I probably watch more anime than certainly than the regular person, like a normal person, mainstream person, right? There's plenty of anime films that I love. Love Hayao Miyazaki's, like Princess Mononoke, Nausicaä and the Tale of the Wind, Chaos in the Sky, right? But, when I heard about One Piece and people were like telling me, it's like, oh yeah, it's like 1,000+ episodes. Like, wait, what? 1,000? So that to me, to be honest, is kind of like a turnoff. Like, that's like, it's too much. It's overwhelming. And so it's like, yeah, I guess I'm just never going to watch it. And so when this series was announced, I was like, oh, it's interesting. But to be fair, like, there haven't been very many good live-action anime adaptations, chat. Certainly on Netflix. I mean, I think you can make an argument that Netflix has made some of the worst live-action anime adaptations. People would say, Death Note, Cowboy Bebop.
Sounds to me like blackmail.
You're damn right it is, because, Jet, you are black and you are male.
Which kind of broke my heart because, I love the original show. And, of course, there's been others. But still, I was curious, and, we watched the trailers. I thought the trailers like, oh, okay, it looks like it could be fun. It looked like it could have went, either way, right? So I was like, people were asking me, are you going to watch the show or are you going to review it? I was like, I wasn't sure. There was just so much content out right now. Like I've always said, we're in a kind of a golden age of TV, like since the Sopranos, from 1999. Like The Sopranos on, we've been in that golden age. And, it's been pretty amazing. I think others have just had to, be honest with ourselves. Like, hey, we're not gonna be able to watch like every great TV show out there. It's just, it's impossible. It's very difficult. But, I saw that, of course this show has been out for the last, few days. I guess at this point, maybe of this recording, maybe, less than a week. And people are talking about, people are obsessed with it. Like it's a huge ratings hit seemingly for Netflix, chat. I think I had posted like the best ratings since like Wednesday and the most recent season of Stranger Things. It's like, oh, okay, I'll check this out, And, I sat down last night to watch the first review, and that's all, excuse me, I sat down last night to watch the first episode, and I'd be honest, I've only seen the first episode, so that's why it's kind of just like, hey, so this is my general impressions of the show so far, of this one episode. And, I have to tell you, being someone who knows next to nothing about this property, outside of, of the few things that I've been aware of through, cultural osmosis, I have to say, outside of, a few aesthetic issues maybe for the show, this was a great first episode. I thought it was very smart that the filmmakers really wanted to focus on the characters first and foremost. It's like, yes, they established this is a zany, mythical fantasy world with pirates. But the writing for the characters is what immediately invested me in this story and in this first episode. Obviously, the first person we're introduced to is Monkey, played by Inaki Godoy. I think that's how you'd say the actor's name. I apologize if that's not how you pronounce it. He has a very difficult job since, the Monkey D. Luffy character, comes across just being very over the top and boisterous. And, from the first episode alone, his dedication to the role comes across in spades. He has this infectious charisma and charm that makes him very funny. But he also has this warmth and optimism that makes him just like a very endearing and a joy to be around. Like, even the characters that like get annoyed with him, they're like, God damn it, he's charming. Which I thought was very funny. Like, everyone who's just kind of a stick in the mud or so self-serious or kind of edgy or whatever, it's like, they're like, why are you so nice? Why are you so goddamn nice, Luffy? He's like, I don't know, I just want to be king of the pirates. It's like, wow, it charmed even me. It charmed even me, who was initially like super intimidated by this entire property and went like, I don't know about this. Yeah, he's great. At least in the first episode, what I saw, I thought he was really, really good. There are definitely some Pirates of the Caribbean vibes. Even like how this first episode opens up. Like we follow Luffy, and he's like in a little dinky boat that's sinking, and he's trying to scoop as much water out of it as possible. And it's very reminiscent of the first Pirates of the Caribbean, where Captain Jack Sparrow, we're introduced to Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp's character, where he's literally scooping out water from his boat. And I was like, I wonder. I do wonder if maybe they definitely borrowed from that, something familiar. But it worked. It worked for the sake of the character. And like that actor, he is just constantly, he's at an 11, but not in like an annoying way. I think it's just like he's not like hyper to the point where it's like, all right, take a chill pill. He's hyper, but he's like his charisma and his earnestness and like how nice he is it just comes across immediately, And you're instantly charmed by him, like he's not. I don't feel like he's mean. There's not like a mean spiritedness, and like and the thing is, it's not like he's at an 11 where he's not listening to anyone. Like he actually takes the time to like listen to somebody. Like the character of the scared cabin boy Kobe. Like it's not that like he ignores him or anything because like he's scared or whatever. Because he seems to have lived a hard life. But he actually like says, tell me about yourself. And he's like, what do you want to do? What's the thing that you want to do? Like, I want to be king of the pirates. What about you? And I was like, oh, that's really nice. It's kind of like, it's almost like a weird contradiction where you have that kind of character where they're kind of like a little selfish and they're not paying attention what everything else is happening around them, just like what's happening with them. And so to have him where he kind of stops and just wants to listen to people, and he has respect for people and he admires them and wants to help them out. I was like, I like that a lot. That's really, really charming, and I want to see him do that more in this show. So, and he's absolutely nailing that right now. He's doing such a great job. Also helps that we have like a pretty solid and likable supporting, main cast. And again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names, chat. Makanu, who plays Zoro, I believe that's the character's name, and Emily Rudd, who plays Nami. Now, Zoro, he's like your classic badass swordsman and mercenary with like a soft side. And Nami is your, femme fatale who has to use her wits and charms to get ahead of all the men, right? Over, her male contemporaries. Their dynamic with Luffy, I think, is great, and because their personalities are so different from one another, they bounce off each other in I think in a really entertaining way. Their dialogue in particular is some of the best in the first episode, and they're able to layer it with that world building and hints of their respective past. Like, we do get flashback sequences, especially for Luffy when he was a kid. Explanation of like why he has his stretchy rubber powers and everything. Like, we see that, the pirates that clearly influenced him, and were like, the fatherly or maternal figures, in his life. And, that's all cool. And so it's like, okay, we're getting a lot of this done. But at the same time, they're always like laser focused on, let's just charm the audience as much as possible, like with these characters. And they are incredibly successful with it, and I really love it. Again, there are many other characters, in the first episode, like the villainous and self-obsessed Marine, Captain Morgan, and the frightened cabin boy, Kobe. I guess you say his name, Kobe, who I also quite liked in the episode. If I have like any like major criticisms so far, I noticed that the color palette for this first episode, at least, is just like really desaturated. A lot of dark blues and like grays. That felt kind of like a little out of place, for this world, especially one that seems to be, so vibrant and colorful as established in the anime, at least in the clips that I've seen, the trailers that I've seen. It's like, I don't know if they translate the aesthetic very well. It honestly reminded me of the recent like Little Mermaid movie, the live action film, where they seem to scrub just so much color, throughout the entire movie, scrub so much of it out of the entire movie. It seems like a deliberate aesthetic choice. And, I could probably get used to it, as I continue watching, but it is something that was a little odd to me. It didn't jive, like, based on some of the things I've seen with the show. But again, as I keep watching, maybe I'll just get used to it. But outside of that, like the first episode, I just really appreciate that. Like, hey, let's just establish like who these characters are, who their personalities are. Let's have them meet up. Let's have them bounce off of each other and kind of figure out like that dynamic going forward. At least the main three, so far. And I feel like they succeeded. Like, I never got confused. I think that was the other thing too. It's like, okay, because you have like 1,000 episodes, right, and so many chapters in that manga series, like you're gonna have to eventually condense some of this stuff. And at least in the first episode I saw, I feel like they're doing a good job. Like, I didn't feel lost. I feel like they've kind of established like what the tone of this world is. Their overall aesthetics, the fantasy aspects, but most importantly, they establish the characters, and they make sure that they're all interesting and they're all charming, or in some cases even fascinating. And so, yeah, for me, I really enjoyed this first episode, and I feel encouraged enough and enjoyed it enough to probably continue watching the rest of the show when I have the time. And again, it kind of blew me away. I was like, wow, this is actually like really good, and not to like dismiss One Piece. I just thought like, I thought like the entry into it would be like super difficult, right? And there'd be like a lot of stuff that I would be missing, just be confused by. But in terms of this first episode, I thought they did a great job, and they absolutely nailed it. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to watch the rest of this show, and I wish I could have reviewed more episodes, and because I know that this isn't like the main crew, Monkey D. Luffy's crew. I know that he has other, crew members who I imagine are established in the other episodes. But at least right now, I'm really liking everybody, and I think this was a really strong start to, what I could possibly be, what the one of the best, if not the best, live action anime adaptation of all time. I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, Chad, I really enjoyed the first episode of One Piece. What about you guys out there? What did you think of the first episode? Are you a fan of One Piece, or are you more like me, where you know nothing about it? Let me know.
I hope everyone enjoyed the video, and I want to take the time to tell you about my Patreon, Class in the Glass, which offers hundreds of film commentaries and video reactions to numerous movies, TV shows, and cartoons. If you're a fan of shows like Batman the Animated Series and Avatar The Last Airbender, or films like Aliens and Raiders of the Lost Ark, my Patreon is the platform for you. Currently, I'm doing a subathon to reach 75 subs on the platform. If we hit 75 subs, we'll be able to start voting on the next edited YouTube reaction, which will include actual clips and scenes from the movies and shows I comment over. Choose from such films as Fire and Ice, Masters of the Universe, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, or Spawn. Subscribing at any tier level is appreciated, and feel free to give feedback at any time. Thank you again for watching the video, and see you next time.